Okay, so we have the 6 purposes of the Code of Ethics, which is identify core social work values, summarize broad ethical standards, identify professional obligations when conflicts arise, holds the social work profession accountable, socializes new practitioners to social work's mission, values, ethical standards, and principles, and defines unethical conduct and guides the ethical decision-making process. Now, if we break our ethics, or we violate the ethics, we could lose our license depending on the violation. Okay, so this is pretty important stuff. So our core values of social work: competence, meaning that we have the skills and the knowledge to work in the field that we're working in. For example, I'm extremely competent in mental health. That's where I started. Okay, so behavioral health, mental health, I know the interventions, I do counseling, I know the techniques of counseling. However, I don't know all of the different counseling. So I am really good with motivational interviewing. I understand motivational interviewing. It's one of the techniques I would use almost all the time with a lot of my clients. And I am very well versed in motivational interviewing. However, when we look at other types of counseling, such as rapid eye movement, which is a technique, I am not competent in that. I don't have the knowledge, I don't have the skills, I don't have the training. So if I try doing that without the knowledge and the skills and the training, then I am going against my ethics and I'm not working in my areas of competency. You have to be competent in your areas to work in them. Now, you will learn these things out in the field as well too. Like when I first started doing suicide risk assessment and crisis intervention, I did not learn about those things in school. I was not competent because of my formal education. I became competent out in the field with the training of my peers and my supervisors, and also attending formal trainings. Okay, and so then I became competent in crisis intervention. I am not competent in alcohol or other drug treatment, okay, and substance use treatment. I am not trained in substance use treatment. Now, I worked with a ton of people who experienced addiction, but I worked with them on the mental health. And so instead of working with them on, how to lessen their addictive symptoms or addiction symptoms, I was working with them on their symptoms of anxiety or depression, which would also impact that AOD, but that wasn't my focus because that was not my competency. Okay, we look at every person with dignity and worth. Every single person gets dignity and worth, okay? Even people that we may not exactly agree with. It's just respecting them. This can be really difficult. You can sit there and be like, oh, I respect everybody. But when you start really looking at, populations that we really don't agree with, and we say that we have to look at them with dignity and worth, it can be a little difficult. For example, people on death row. How do you look at someone who's on death row, meaning that they have committed a pretty serious crime to be on death row? How do you look at them with dignity and worth? Well, we look at everybody as a person, and we know that the environment influences people. Okay, so then we're going to look at their environment, and a lot of times that really explains why they've behaved the way that they have. So we'll move on. We can get into those discussions next week. Okay, the importance of human relationships. We absolutely understand how important human relationships are, that we work with integrity, which means, truthfulness. We are not lying or misleading our clients. We are providing service and good, impactful, positive service, and also working towards social justice. So our competencies: we demonstrate ethical and professional behavior, engage in diversity and difference in practice, advance human rights and social, economic, and environmental justices, and engage in policy practice. We engage in practice-informed research and research-informed practice, engage with individuals, families, groups, organizations, and communities. There's that IFGOC. Assess with individuals, families, groups, organizations, and communities. intervene with the IFGOC, and evaluate the IFGOC. And I will tell you that your professors here in this program, as we are going through our own evaluation, we are evaluated on how we teach you guys these things within our ethics, these core competencies. And so our practice skills include assessing, strategizing, like problem solving, brokering and linking, so it's like referring, okay? Collaborating, we work in teams. Intervening and negotiating, definitely. Listening, we have to be active listeners. Motivating, mediating, an ability to pose alternative solutions and seek consensus. Here is a cool chart. I'm just going to keep going. All right, so we influence social and individual change. That's a huge thing for us. And you'll see through our history how we have gone, social workers really founded on this macro idea of social change. So changing communities, changing policies, and things like that. And then we started shifting more into the individual. But you'll see that as we go through the history and next week. We have to be able to conduct assessments of complex situations. Remember, our environment, just like I was explaining with those systems, I might have made your eyes bug out of your head because you're just like, oh, wow, this is so complex. Like, how do we even think about all these things? Well, once you start looking at your environment as systems, it makes it so much easier. We identify appropriate evidence-based interventions. So we look at the research, what's worked, what doesn't work, because we're not going to use that. And we utilize knowledge from a variety of disciplines, like I've already said, and we empower people. To empower people means to help them gain power. But we empower people to grow and live healthy, productive, and meaningful lives. We're helping them take control of their lives. By empowering someone, that means that we're helping them learn how to take control of their lives. So we work in many different settings, and this isn't even close to being all of them, but medical facilities, government agencies, nonprofit agencies, corrections facilities, home health and long-term care settings like our nursing homes, state and federal government, schools, community-based mental health agencies, faith-based organizations, military and veterans programs, private practices, education, things like that. Okay, and here's a chart on the micro, meso, and macro. So I'm going to keep on going. All right, so social work is a career option. Wide variety in income. We have a bad rap for getting really low pay, and that's not really true. For example, the VA in Chillicothe is hiring, and they need an independent licensed social worker. So you have to have at least a master's, but their salary is like $120,000 or higher, depending on your experience. And so that's a really great job. And there's other careers in there that, very high paying in social work. So it's a wonderful career for growth and opportunity. However, you do see your lower paying salaries in your entry level positions, but also in the fields like mental health and substance abuse and child protective agencies and things like that. You do see the lower pay. However, expected growth rate is currently higher than other occupations. This book was published in 2018. However, that is still the trend. We are still trending to grow bigger than other occupations. In fact, most other occupations. And we will continue to grow in healthcare, mental health, substance abuse, and school social work. And I don't know if you guys know this, but this is a fun fact that social workers, we provide over 70% of mental health services. A lot of people think it's psychiatrists and psychologists and stuff providing all this mental health. Nope, it is social workers. We provide over 70% of mental health services in the U.S., which is really cool. And that is the end of chapter 1. So if you have any questions, please email me. My email is cruggles@rio.edu, and I want to know that you watched all of these videos. So I want you to send me an email that has your favorite concept of something that I said in one of these videos. And you have to tell me which video, why it interested you, and we'll go from there. In the emails, I will also have questions for you to identify a couple of concepts within our text. And then I will see you guys in person the second week of class. I believe that is going to be, what is it, September 2nd? Or no, it's August 31st. Am I correct here? Let me look. Yes, I will see you in person on August 31st.